Hey everyone, Gary Simon of Corsetro. Today I actually wanted to do something that I wasn't planning on doing from this week's preview just yesterday. I actually wanted to do a logo because I have a personal project I'm going to be working on and developing in my spare time that has to do with cryptocurrencies, as you know I'm kind of a fan of, and also kind of combining the idea of Slack. So real-time chat plus cryptocurrency, live kind of price charts and such like that. So I found myself needing a logo, so I decided, you know what, I'll make a video about my thought process behind this logo that I'm going to create. And you could follow along because it's just a real cool sort of technique that you can use to create a Wordmark style logo. All right, so I'm going to switch over here to Illustrator, and I'm just going to choose this default art and illustration option. All right, and by default, when I get out a new artboard, I want to make sure it fills up the whole screen just so I have a little bit more real estate to work with. So I'm just going to hit the artboard tool here if I can talk, and then just drag it out right around there. Okay, so this logo, I decided, I wanted it to be a Wordmark solely. So, if you're unaware, a Wordmark is simply just the type portion of a logo. There's no external symbol. All right, sometimes when you have a symbol plus a Wordmark, it's called a combination logo. We're not going to have any of that. I just want to go strictly Wordmark. All right, so the name is CRYPTS. Type in the name. CRYPTS is going to be the name. Where I'm merging the idea of cryptocurrency and real-time chat with charts and all that. Sorry, my throat is like all jacked up right now. And so the name, of course, is short for crypto or cryptocurrency, and I guess it's kind of a play off of the whole Bloods versus Crips gang thing. Watch me get killed or something, but that's spelled CRYPTS. This is CRYPTS. So at this point, you could do a few things. I know that I want just a Wordmark logo, which means there's no external symbol sitting over here or on top of the logo. It's not a combination logo. It's a Wordmark logo. And so with that said, being that we only have to focus on the name or the type, to get ideas of what you want to do with this, you can type in all caps or all lowercase and just go through your fonts. If you go to window character and use your keyboard up and down arrow keys just to go through all these different fonts. These, I don't store many fonts on my machine. However, an alternative approach is to go to a site. Let me get this over here. And I put in something like thefont.com, or you could go to google.com/fonts, and you can search through all of these fonts, and you can even customize the text. So if I want to type in CRYPTS, apply to all fonts, there you go. You can just browse through all of these to get a potential idea that helps you formulate, how the direction that you want to take this Wordmark logo. Do you see something in there in terms of the shapes that the individual characters create, or even the white space, the space between them, that could signify something unique and relevant based on the purpose of the business? All right, so I ended up finding a font actually through fonts.google.com. And you can do the same thing here at DeFont. There's other ones like Font Scroll as well. And it's called, I think it's called MONT. Yeah, Montserrat. Okay, I suck. I don't know. I have no clue how to pronounce that. But I found this one. You can search for this font and download it from Google. Or you search for it on Google and find some site that I think it's Font Scroll that allows you to download this. And I got it like a heavier weight. So that's the one we're going to use here. So it's Montserrat Bold. And I really liked this sort of type when it is all caps, like this. All right, now it's a nice font. There's nothing really interesting happening here. I wanted to make it unique so that we can make this logo our own. yeah, the type in and of itself, like I said, it's nice. It's nice, bold font, but there's nothing unique about it. Well, you don't need to. You should really want to make it unique so that people will remember it, so that it's something that can be immediately identifiable in terms of your business. All right, so what I decided to do is Control-C, Control-F, and that way I just have a copy sitting up here in case if I screw up on something and I just need to grab the letter back, I can do so. And then I also want to take the letter spacing in just a little bit. It doesn't really matter. We're going to join all of these together to create kind of like an interesting, really, really unique cryptic, that's where the relevant part comes in, presentation or representation of this word CRYPTS and the letters between them. So at this point, in order to really work with these letters and shape them, we have to get out of type mode. So we have to convert it from a type layer to a shape layer, so we can get Control, Shift, and O. So now it's all converted to outlines or paths. And we can also right click, as you can see, because it's currently grouped up, it selects all of them, right click and ungroup. All right, so the way I wanted to approach this is to kind of try to create a continuing flow between each of the characters as much as possible. I want them to connect and to join. And I also want to do it in such a way that it makes sense and it's consistent and the letter spacing and the angles. So let's try to connect the C and the R. All right, so to do this, we're really going to be playing around a lot with Window Pathfinder. And this helps us just do different types of intersections, and it really allows us to work and shape with these letters. So you'll see what I mean eventually here, just in a second. So if I take this rectangle, and let's try to connect the top of the C with this R right here. So what I want to do, I don't need this whole right side of the C. So I can take this, hold Shift, and then select the C, and then hit this one, which is minus front. So now we just got rid of that top part. Now let's also make another rectangle that gets rid of all of this. So we only want just this part. We don't care about this leg right there. So hold Shift, select both, and there we go. Next, I'm going to move this over just a bit, and then we're going to take the direct selection tool, and this allows us to select individual anchor points. Now we're just going to hold Shift while selecting both of those and move them over. Oh no, what the hell happened here? That's not cool. All right, so you have a few different ways that you can try to fix that as best as possible. So we could, for instance, take this and scale it down just slightly like that. And even doing that, it still gives us a little bit of an issue where we have this part right here. You could instead, to try to even it up, take this down, or take these two anchor points and drag them down just a bit, and even get closer by holding Alt and your scroll wheel and even matching them up right around there, just to get a general idea, or not an idea, but just an area that connects well with it. And so I'm going to leave it like that. That's fine. This could potentially present you with an issue if you want everything to be exactly the same width, but really, just to give us an idea for brainstorming, this is completely fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now we have our C and our R connected, but this looks a little bit weird right here, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. You know what would be cool is if we simply took this line right here and just we made it go straight up. So let's take this with the direct selection tool still selected. Let's delete that anchor point. Let's also delete this one as well. All right, and I'm going to drag this in so that it matches up as best as possible with this angle here. And eventually you can just get rid of that middle one altogether. Take the anchor point or the pen tool, select on it, and then connect it back up because there's no path between those. Okay. Now next, notice how these two, this line right here and this line as well, they're kind of converging. We kind of want them to be along the same angle. All right, so if I take the pen tool and just click on this from here, and I want to flip this around so that it's at the same angle. So if I right click, I go to transform, reflect, vertical, hit OK, and then right click, transform, reflect. There's probably a quicker way of doing that. And also horizontal, we now have that same angle right there. So now we can hold shift and select both of these and minus front. So now these are both the same angle. All right, they're also kind of far apart. So all we have to do is go back to our direct selection tool, move this sucker in right around, right there, looks good. So now we have a really cool, unique, we've basically taken this C and this R and merged it right there. Okay, let's try focusing on the Y now. By the way, if your head's spinning from all that crap that I just did, don't worry. I mean, if you're new to the Pathfinder and the pen tool and anchor points, if you just keep working with it, especially going through drills like this, it'll come naturally and it's really easy, okay? So I'm gonna move over. So how can we connect this Y here to this R? All right, well, if you try to move it over here, that's just, okay, that's crap. You can't do that. I mean, way too close. I don't like it. Plus the angle of this Y, this left portion of the Y, I don't even think matches up with this angle. So instead, how about we just take our pen tool. I'm going to kind of outline this area right here. Okay, so now we've created a new shape that follows the same path right here. So if I just get in close, and I'm going to go just to where these two areas meet right there. And I also want to bring this in or out to this area. I don't want to go all the way because I want these to be as close to possible, as close as possible in terms of width here. So now I'm going to take these two with the direct selection tool and bring them down. We want to maintain the same area, so just make sure you get that lined up as much as possible. I'm just going to come down somewhere around here, I think. This guy, just get him down here. We're not even going to use it. Now we're going to take this, Control C, Control F, which replicates it. We're going to right click and reflect it on vertical, hit OK, and move it over. All right. Hopefully you're still with me. So now let's get this guy over here just so we have a point of reference. We can take these two anchor points, bring them up right. It's snapping to that edge. There we go. Right there. Now I'm going to take these two down here, holding shift, selecting both, and make it match that baseline point right around here. There we go. All right, so I think here's the problem. This Y is coming down too close for my liking. So the way we can fix this is if we move this over, it's going to bring it in a little bit more, plus these 2 points are converging. So I can just take this and move it up, and there we go. Sweet. I kind of like that so far. All right, so now let's connect the P to the Y. And let's do the same thing we did before. So we're going to take this. We're going to minus front, take this, again, just the direct selection tool is all I'm working with here. Move it in around there, and then bring that guy. We want like an equal amount of space. No, an equal amount of space between this right here and these two elements right here. everything like here is pretty consistent. So we want to maintain that consistency, and it is already pretty close. I think I have to drag it in maybe a little bit more, maybe 1 pixel or something like that. All right, so CRYP we have so far. Now let's get our T. The T, I think I'm just going to connect from the very top like that. And then maybe bring this in slightly. All right. And the S is going to be a tough one because, first of all, it's the S for this particular font is slightly bigger. That's sort of problematic, so we can scale this down just a tad bit. There we go. And I also want to do something a little bit different here. These are actually not, I don't think I'm going to have them connect. But what I want to do is extend this out maybe around here. All right. And actually, maybe I won't have it come back. I'm going to take it right here, here. Take this in right around, say right here. All right. And notice how this is not as thick now. What I want to do is to increase this thickness, we can add a stroke right here. All right, so if I scale this in, and by the way, it's the same color, so it's kind of hard to see. Let's take the stroke, we'll make it red. And I will also take the opacity down so we can see what's happening. It's just a little bit not quite there. All right, that's a lot closer. All right, so now once we have the opacity, or let's get it back to 100%. I'm gonna make this black. Well, now with the new thickness working, we'll go to Object, Path, and then Outline Stroke, and then click this one, Unite. So there we go. So now I'm going to take a rectangle just over the middle part where these intersect, along with those two, holding Shift and minus front. Actually, do I want to do that? Hold on one second. I think what I'll do instead real quickly is we're going to go back. Sorry about this. This is the process, unfortunately. You're going to find yourself doing this a lot. Let's see here. We're going to make this go out. I'm going to bring this back in. All right, and then I think I'll just take both of these and this one right here. Okay. Okay, so now, and by the way, we can match these up. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to take just a white color for now, and I'm going to try to find where these two just barely meet. So I'm going to come up right around here. I'm trying to follow this angle right here. So I'm going to come down. Like that. Except we're going to take the direct selection tool, move this in right around there. I wanted to have just kind of like a little tiny separation between both of those. Maybe a tad bit more. So I'm going to take both of them. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to take this, and we're going to merge them. Then I'm going to take this and then minus front. So then I'm going to take this and move it over. And there we go. Finally, I also I'm going to take this and move them over. Move this over a little bit out, maybe around here. And then based on this angle, all right, so right here, here. Let's make this white. I'm gonna make it, I want it to go all the way right until this edge right down there. All right, so now I'll take this and this, oops, right click and ungroup those. And I will minus front, like that. Let's group those, Control G. And then one final, this angle is kind of off a little bit. And so what I'm gonna do is, we'll just first, oops, this one is slightly off, there we go. Again, these are just, this is kind of like a rough sort of logo. You would really want to make sure everything is perfectly aligned as much as possible. Oops, that was connected to the original. 1 second here. I just want to make sure all of these lines meet up as much as possible. Or match up. There we go. So now I'm going to take this, intersect it right at that bottom edge right there, and then just we have to ungroup this for this to work. Minus front. All right, so now everything is much more even. All right, so we've gone from essentially, and by the way, you see all these paths here in the middle. We can just take everything and merge them right there just by uniting. All right, so this is a kind of like the rough logo that I'm going to use for that project. So we've essentially gone from, you know, a nice font to this, something that is kind of cryptographic. I mean, it's not entirely too hard to read, but it's still very fluid, and it really speaks to, you know, this type of industry or this niche, and that it's, you know, kind of cryptographic, and it's kind of its own logo as well, which is really, really cool. All right, guys, so hopefully you were able to follow along a little bit. You probably weren't sitting there following every single step because I was really moving fast, but again, you'll see if you keep up with that pen tool. I know that's a lot of times, and also working with those shapes in terms of the anchor points and all that, it'll become almost second nature. And really getting down and understanding your keyboard shortcuts, I was using a ton of those, that's also going to help quite a bit as well. All right, so make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. Check out CourseCetera.com, and I will be back with another tutorial either today or tomorrow this week. I definitely want to get into Angular, Cloud Firestore, and Firebase authentication, as well as Electron. All right, I'll see you soon.